Hey there. Ever wonder how those self-driving cars, navigate rush hour or how AI in video games seems to learn your every move?
Wow.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's really fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
It's all thanks to something called reinforcement learning.
Oh, okay. Yeah, reinforcement learning. I've heard that term thrown around.
Right.
What exactly is that?
So it's a really fascinating area of AI where we essentially let machines figure things out on their own
Okay.
through trial and error.
So no more painstakingly, you know, programming every single instruction. We're
Yeah.
letting the AI kind of off the leash a little bit.
Precisely. It's more like setting up a playground and letting them learn by playing.
Okay, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
Makes it much easier to understand.
Think of it like teaching a dog a new trick.
Yeah.
We don't explain the physics of sitting. We
Right.
just reward them with a treat when they get it right.
Right, yeah, positive reinforcement.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But how does this actually work in the world of AI? What are the building blocks of this playground?
So we have three key elements: the agent, the environment, and the reward.
Okay,
The agent is our AI learner, the one making the decisions.
gotcha.
It could be anything from a virtual robot in a simulation to a piece of software managing a power grid.
Right, so the agent is the student in this scenario.
Right.
What about the classroom? What's that?
That's where the environment comes in.
Okay.
It's the world that the agent interacts with, the set of rules and possibilities it has to navigate.
Okay.
So imagine a self-driving car.
Hmm.
Its environment would be a simulated city with roads, traffic lights, and pedestrians.
So the environment provides the context for the agent's actions.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what motivates the agent to make the right choices?
That's the role of the reward.
Okay.
It's the feedback mechanism that tells the agent if it's on the right track.
Gotcha.
So if our self-driving car stops at a red light,
Mm-hmm.
it gets a reward.
Okay.
If it runs the light, it gets a penalty.
So it's all about learning by consequences.
Right.
Just like in real life.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
But isn't there a risk the agent might just stick to what it knows? How does it learn new tricks, so to speak?
That's where the balance between exploration and exploitation comes in.
Okay. Exploration and exploitation
Right.
both sound very interesting.
Think of it like trying a new restaurant.
Okay.
Exploration is trying that funky fusion place down the street. You might discover your new favorite dish.
I like trying new restaurants, so I'm all about exploration.
Right.
What about exploitation?
And exploitation is sticking to your tried and true Italian joint, where you'll get a good meal.
Okay. So exploration is trying new things. Exploitation is sticking with what works.
Exactly.
I get it. So how does an AI find that balance?
Well, that's one of the big challenges in reinforcement learning.
Okay.
There are different algorithms and techniques to help agents find that sweet spot between sticking with what works and venturing into the unknown.
Okay, so that's a really tough problem then.
It is, yeah.
To figure out how to balance those two.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, this is all starting to make sense,
Mhm.
but I'm dying to know how this translates into real-world results. What kind of amazing things has reinforcement learning accomplished?
One of the most impressive feats was the development of AlphaGo,
AlphaGo.
AI that learned to play the ancient game of Go at a superhuman level.
Wait, Go. That game with the black and white stones that is supposed to be incredibly complex.
Exactly. Even seasoned Go masters were astonished by AlphaGo's strategic insights.
Wow.
It wasn't just playing well, it was
Mhm.
coming up with moves no human had ever considered before.
Wow, so it wasn't just like regurgitating information, it was actually coming up with new things.
Right.
Wow, that's seriously impressive.
Yeah.
So reinforcement learning allowed AlphaGo to not just master the rules, but also develop its own innovative strategies.
Yes.
No.
And its victory against a world champion Go player in 2016 marked a major milestone for AI, demonstrating the power of reinforcement learning to tackle incredibly complex problems.
Okay, I'm sold on the wow factor.
Yeah.
But let's get practical.
Sure.
Besides conquering board games, where else is this technology making waves?
Well, in healthcare, it's being used to personalize treatment plans.
Okay.
Imagine an AI that can analyze a patient's medical history, current condition, and even genetic data to suggest the most effective course of action.
That's incredible. So it's like having a super intelligent medical consultant by your side.
That's the idea.
Wow.
It's not about replacing doctors,
Right.
but about giving them a powerful tool to make more informed decisions.
Okay.
especially when dealing with complex medical cases.
So from playing games to potentially saving lives,
Right.
reinforcement learning is really living up to the hype.
It certainly is, and we're just scratching the surface.
Oh, wow.
Another area where it's making a huge impact is robotics.
Oh, robots.
Yeah.
Now, this is where I think a lot of people's imaginations really take off.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
With reinforcement learning, robots can learn to perform intricate physical tasks,
Okay.
from grasping delicate objects to navigating unpredictable environments.
So we're talking about robots that can learn to do things we never even thought of programming them to do.
Exactly. It's about enabling them to learn through experience just like humans do
Wow.
and adapt to new situations on the fly.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
This is mind-blowing stuff. But before we get too carried away with robot butlers and self-folding laundry,
Right.
what are some of the limitations we need to be aware of?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is data dependency.
Okay.
These algorithms need a lot of data to learn effectively, which can be a bottleneck in some applications.
It's like a student who needs to devour an entire library before acing the exam.
That's a good analogy.
Okay.
And then there's the computational power needed to process all that data
Right.
and train these complex models. It can be quite demanding in terms of resources.
So there are still hurdles to overcome before reinforcement learning becomes truly mainstream.
Yes, but the field is constantly evolving.
Okay.
Researchers are developing new algorithms that are more efficient and require less data.
That's encouraging. So while there are challenges, there's also a lot of optimism and excitement about the future of reinforcement learning.
Absolutely. This technology is still in its early stages, and the possibilities are truly endless.
Wow.
Who knows what incredible breakthroughs we'll see in the coming years.
This is definitely a field worth watching. But before we get lost in the future, let's take a step back and explore some of the other fascinating applications of reinforcement learning that are already shaping our world today.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Sounds good. You mentioned self-driving cars earlier, and that's a prime example of where reinforcement learning is making a real difference.
Yeah, I think self-driving cars are one of those things that really capture the imagination. You know, it feels like the future is arriving right before our eyes.
It is, and reinforcement learning is at the heart of it. Think about all the complexities of driving, navigating traffic, responding to unexpected situations, making split-second decisions.
Oh yeah, it's a lot to juggle, even for experienced human drivers.
Right.
So how do you teach a machine to do all that?
Well, that's where the beauty of reinforcement learning comes in.
Good.
We can create incredibly detailed simulations of real-world environments,
Okay.
complete with roads, traffic patterns,
Yeah.
pedestrians, even weather conditions.
So it's like a giant virtual driving school for AI.
Exactly. And within these simulations, our self-driving car AI can practice for millions of miles,
Wow.
learning from its mistakes and constantly refining its driving skills.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like giving the AI the freedom to experiment and learn without the risks of real-world driving.
Precisely. And because it can experience so many scenarios in the virtual world, it can handle situations that might only occur once in a million miles of real-world driving.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
It's almost like giving the AI the benefit of decades of driving experience in a compressed time frame.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And it's not just about reacting to what's happening right in front of it. Reinforcement learning allows these self-driving systems to anticipate potential hazards,
Okay.
plan routes efficiently, and even learn from the behavior of other cars on the road.
So it's not just mimicking human drivers.
Right.
It's potentially surpassing them in terms of safety and efficiency.
That's the goal, and we're seeing incredible progress.
Wow.
Of course, there are still challenges to overcome, but the potential of reinforcement learning to revolutionize transportation is undeniable.
It's definitely exciting to think about.
It is, yeah.
But beyond healthcare, robotics, and self-driving cars, where else do you see this technology having a major impact?
Well, one area that's particularly fascinating is finance.
Okay, finance.
The financial world is full of complex data and constantly changing conditions.
Yeah, it's not exactly known for being simple and predictable, that's for sure.
Right, and that's why reinforcement learning is such a perfect fit.
Okay.
It can analyze massive data sets,
Yeah.
identify patterns that humans might miss, and make predictions about market movements.
So it's like having an AI stockbroker that can crunch numbers and spot trends with superhuman speed and accuracy.
That's one application, but it goes beyond that.
Okay.
Reinforcement learning can be used to manage portfolios, assess risk-optimized trading strategies, even detect fraudulent activities.
Wow, it sounds like it could transform the entire financial industry.
It certainly has the potential,
Yeah.
and we're already seeing major financial institutions investing heavily in this technology.
That's a pretty clear sign that they see its value.
Yeah.
It's incredible to think how reinforcement learning is finding its way into so many different fields.
It is, and it speaks to the versatility of this approach.
Oh, yeah.
It's not limited to any specific industry or task. It's really about enabling machines to learn and adapt in any environment where there's data and a clear objective.
So it's not just about building specific AI for specific tasks.
Right.
It's about developing a more general approach to machine learning.
Exactly. And that's what makes reinforcement learning so powerful and exciting.
Right.
It's a fundamental shift in how we think about AI moving away from rigid programming towards a more flexible and adaptable approach.
This whole conversation has been a real eye-opener.
Good.
I'm starting to see reinforcement learning everywhere I look now.
It's one of those things that once you understand the basic principles, you start to see its potential in everything from personalized recommendations on your favorite streaming service to optimizing energy consumption in smart cities.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
It really is, yeah.
It's really mind-blowing. But I have to ask, are there any areas where reinforcement learning might not be the best solution?
Well, it's not a magic bullet.
Okay.
There are definitely situations where other approaches might be more suitable.
Go ahead.
For example, if you have a very well-defined problem with a clear set of rules and a limited number of possible actions, then traditional programming might be more efficient.
So it's about choosing the right tool for the job.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Reinforcement learning shines when you're dealing with complex, dynamic environments where it's difficult or impossible to program every possible scenario.
That makes sense. It's like the difference between giving someone a detailed instruction manual and letting them learn by doing.
That's a great analogy. And as with any powerful technology, there are also ethical considerations that need to be carefully addressed.
Oh, yeah. That's an important point. I imagine as AI systems become more sophisticated, it's crucial to ensure they're being used responsibly.
Absolutely. We need to think about things like bias in algorithms, the potential impact on employment, and the overall implications for society.
Right.
These are conversations we need to be having as we continue to develop and deploy this technology.
It sounds like there's a whole other layer of complexity and responsibility that comes with the power of reinforcement learning.
There is, but it's a challenge we need to embrace.
Yeah.
The potential benefits of this technology are enormous. But we need to be mindful of the potential risks as well.
So while there's a lot of excitement about the future of reinforcement learning, it's important to approach it with a sense of caution and ethical awareness as well.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
It's a powerful tool that can be used for good or for ill.
Right.
It's up to us to ensure that its development and deployment are guided by ethical principles and a deep understanding of its potential impact on society.
Well, that's a really powerful message to leave our listener with.
Yeah, it's important to think about these things.
It is, yeah. But before we wrap things up, I'm curious to know what you personally find most fascinating about this field.
Well, for me, it's the sheer ingenuity of it all.
Okay.
We're essentially mimicking the way humans learn and adapt, but doing it at a scale and speed that's simply mind-blowing.
Yeah.
We're creating systems that can solve problems we never thought possible, and that's incredibly inspiring.
It's like unlocking a whole new level of intelligence, both artificial and our own understanding of how intelligence works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And who knows what incredible discoveries await us as we continue to explore the frontiers of reinforcement learning.
Right.
It's a journey filled with challenges and opportunities, and I, for one, am thrilled to be a part of it.
It feels like we've covered so much ground, from the basic principles of reinforcement learning to its mind-boggling applications.
We certainly have, yeah. It's a huge field.
It is.
Yeah, a lot to unpack.
Before we let our listener go, is there one key takeaway you want them to remember from our conversation today?
I think the most important thing to understand is that reinforcement learning is not just a technological advancement. It's a fundamental shift in how we think about intelligence.
So it's not just about making machines smarter.
Right.
It's about redefining what it means to be smart.
Exactly. We're moving away from the idea that intelligence is all about knowing the right answers.
Okay.
And towards a more dynamic view where intelligence is the ability to learn, adapt, and solve problems in ever-changing environments.
So we're kind of shifting from a rule-based approach to a more experience-based one,
Right.
both in how we build AI and also how we understand our own intelligence.
That's a great way to put it. And this shift has profound implications for the future.
Okay.
It means we can create machines that can handle tasks we never thought possible. Tasks that require creativity, intuition, and the ability to learn from experience.
It's almost like we're giving machines the tools to become lifelong learners, just like us.
Precisely. And as they continue to learn and evolve, who knows what incredible breakthroughs they'll achieve. It's a truly exciting time to be witnessing the birth of this new era of intelligent machines.
It really, this whole conversation has been incredibly inspiring. It's given me a whole new perspective on the potential of AI and the future we're creating.
I'm glad to hear that. It's a field that's full of wonder and possibility.
Yeah.
And the more we learn about reinforcement learning, the more we learn about ourselves and the nature of intelligence itself.
Well said. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and for taking us on this incredible journey through the world of reinforcement learning.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And to our listener, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of reinforcement learning. We hope you've gained a new appreciation for the power of this technology and the incredible possibilities it holds for the future. Until next time, keep exploring.